The one missing piece, though, in all this are the super delegates. And I've seen a couple of memes come across on Facebook and other places where at this point in time, 8 years ago, people were writing off Barack Obama's chances because of the strength that Hillary had with these super delegates. They're unpledged delegates. They mostly are representatives, senators, governors, former party officials, former leaders, former presidents, vice presidents, etc. And they tend to stay uncommitted. But Hillary...
They're going to go mainly for Hillary.
Mainly they've gone for Hillary to this point. But again, the parallel has been made to 2008. If Bernie Sanders were to run off a string of 6 or 7 primaries in a row like Barack Obama did, the superdelegates are not stupid. They're not going to go against the will of the voters within their state. And most of them swung back over to Barack Obama. So it's going to be very interesting to see how truly sewn up the superdelegates are. I don't have a horse in this race, which is nice. I've taken the personal decision that since I'm standing for the Welsh Assembly, I'm going to sit out
for the Liberal Democrats.
Yes, I am. Thank you. But I'm going to sit out the primary this time. So even though my state of Tennessee cast its votes for Hillary Clinton, I did not cast a ballot for the first time in my life in the presidential primary because I felt it's a conflict of interest. And if I'm successful, I don't think I'll be able to cast a vote in the November election either.
Well, they'd have been all over you, wouldn't they? Conflict of interest.
Well, it just doesn't feel right.
Right.
Oh my God! Yes. Feed that line to Wales Online, and that'll be a front. Actually, hey, that's not a bad idea. It might actually get some coverage.
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
Was it the Donald Trump school? There's no such thing. There's no such thing as bad press. Just make sure you spell my name correctly.
There'll be the Dump Campbell campaign.
God, crazy.
I mean, the thing is, it's unbelievable, really. Bernie Sanders is quite extreme in terms of, left-wing views. Trump is extreme in terms of right-wing views. Hillary Clinton carefully doesn't really say anything, but is known to be left of centre, we think. So you
pretty much right on center, and I think that's kind of the I think that's kind of the argument that some people have about her is that.
But she's massively establishment, isn't she? And
well,
we're talking, and she's very experienced, and they go on about this, don't they? Former Secretary of State, Senator, the wife of another former president,
And Bill was anything but. He was very almost center right, because he wanted to get things done. So he more than bent over backwards to help the Republicans, and so that's where a lot of the Hillary skepticism comes from.
And yet he got a lot of the black vote, didn't he? Because he was the first black president.
Exactly.
Of course,
Bubba Clinton.
And she's picking up that, I think. And so and the women vote as well. Isn't she getting that?
She's doing reasonably well, but it's an interesting, the female Bernie supporters. They're all almost unanimous in saying, I do not vote with my vagina, I vote with my head. So the level of offense that has been taken by certain supporters of Bernie to, you have to have Hillary because she will support women's issues has been a bit prolific and a bit interesting to watch. So I don't know how she comes out. Democrats in general will do well with Hispanic voters, with African Americans, with Asian Americans, with women voters. The interesting thing is that most Democrats don't do well with white males, but that is the demographic that is shrinking exponentially compared to the growth of all the others. So this is why, yes, you're seeing a lot of support for Donald Trump in the white male South.
They've got to get beyond that, though, haven't they? You've lost the Hispanics, obviously, in terms of because of this ridiculous Trump wall across, and
you've lost Muslims. You've
lost Muslims.
You've
lost a whole range of people, surely.
So how does Donald Trump, or frankly any Republican that has supported his platform, get to 50.1% of the general election vote in every single state, because that's what you're going to need. And I can't see that happening because they've offended so many people. Trump is, they always say, well, Trump is now at 40%, and they trumpet that. That's 40% of one half of the electorate, the people who most define themselves as Republicans. So he's lost 60%, if not more, of his own party, all of the Democrats. So if he is the nominee and the Democrats show up, that's important. It could become a very difficult thing.
So how likely, because I'm fascinated by this as an onlooker. I mean, I like politics, but what's happening in America is that I just can't get my head around it, really. How likely is it, do you think, that the Republican establishment will come together and impose, effectively, a Mitt Romney?
I think it's very likely, and if that does happen, you will see Trump run as a third-party candidate, and that will be the death of the Republican Party as we've known it.
Christ, I mean, so he hasn't ruled that. I remember that he hasn't ruled that out, has he?
Well, if he doesn't feel as though he's been treated fairly, he will go back in as a third-party candidate. And interestingly enough, if he is the party's nominee, there are a number of moderate Republican voters who will seek out a candidate to put up as a third-party candidate. They're already researching what it takes to get on the ballot in certain states.
Republican Party, as well as being a party of Trump supporters and rednecks and the rest of it, is the party of business, and that's what I can't get my head around. I mean, they're not going to support a Trump, surely, are they? The New York Republicans and all the rest of them. I mean, business is so important in America, and Republicanism business is so important. They're not going to support the Trumps of this world.
But let's be real here. I mean, Trump is not a populist, right? He's saying populist things right now, but he's a billionaire himself. He's going to look out after interests and taxes and situations that are going to most benefit him. So I think they'd rather him than a Hillary or a Bernie Sanders as president. So.